In this video, we'll be taking a look at mental ray. In your lighting project in the scenes folder will be still life mental ray. Let's go ahead and open that scene. In this scene we have a still life of fruit on a pedestal. However, there are no lights in the scene. If I press 7, everything's black. What I'll be doing right now is creating a regular Maya light. Let's do a directional light. And let's go ahead and turn that light so we get some action here. If I go into the render settings, I'm already set to Maya software, which is just fine for right now. I'm going to go ahead and render that scene. I'll put that in the buffer. Now I'm going to switch to mental ray, which you can do either through the render view or, better yet, through the render settings. We'll switch that to mental ray. We'll keep everything at its absolute default. We'll go ahead and we'll render the scene as well. Mental ray does work with Maya lights just fine, and the lighting overall is pretty much the same. The only difference that you'll notice is reflections are turned on in the mental ray render. They are not turned on in the Maya software render. That's the only real difference that we have here. By default, mental ray has ray tracing turned on. You can always turn it off. Then we can compare the results to the Maya software render. Taking a quick look at the render settings for mental ray, we'll see we have quite a few more tabs than we did with the Maya software. The common tab is still the same, where we have control over the image size, the camera to render, and the file name, the output, the image file type. One of the first tabs to take a look at is the quality tab. Much like with sampling with the Maya software renderer, mental ray has min and max sample levels. These govern how much anti-aliasing is done on the objects. If we were to turn this even lower and zoom into our render, let's go ahead and render that at a lower resolution, you'll very clearly see the jagged edges. These are aliased. The higher we turn the min and max samples, the smoother the result will be. However, it will come at a cost to render time itself. Typically having a min and max sample level at 0 and 2 is pretty adequate. Here the anti-aliasing contrast is what will make the renders a little bit better at a lower cost of rendering. The lower this number, the more prone the render will be to go to the max sample level. We'll take a look at the render with a 0.2 sample level. And you'll see we've got nice clean edges. Mental ray also has reflection and refraction limits. So not only will an object's shader have the reflection limit in the hypershade for its own shader. Let's take a look at that. Under the ray trace options, you'll find the refraction and the reflection limits for an object, but there is also a global setting for reflections and refractions, and by default they're set to 1 for each reflections and refractions. You'll want to bump these up if you want to see better refractions. Now remember, having refractions of at least 2 is necessary to get a glass-like effect. If, for example, you look in your render settings and mental ray doesn't even show up, the best thing to do is go into the plugin manager under settings and preferences, and to make sure that Maya2MR is loaded. You can also turn on auto load to make sure. Once you've done that, you should be able to access the mental ray menu set. in the render settings. Regular Maya shaders and regular Maya lights are fully compatible with the Mental Ray renderer. However, Mental Ray does have its own set of shaders as well. Ones that have particular effects such as car paint, and a very handy Swiss Army knife of shaders, the Maya material or the Maya material. These can only be rendered through Mental Ray and cannot be rendered through Maya software. However, any of Maya's regular shaders can be rendered through Mental Ray. As a matter of fact, I prefer to render only with Mental Ray and have set that as my default. One of the great features in Mental Ray is indirect lighting, one of the other tabs in the render settings window. Indirect lighting is the ability to bounce light from one object to another. In this scene, I'm going to take this pepper, I'm going to assign it to a run-in-the-mill Lambert shader. In the Lambert, I'm going to use the incandescence to turn up and make that a bright white. If I go ahead and render this scene now, I'll have a flat pepper in the middle of everything. Now, one thing I'll do is disable the lights in my scene. Go ahead and find our light, and we'll go ahead and turn its intensity to 0. So there's no light coming into the scene. If I render this now, only the pepper should show up. It's reflecting, you can see its reflection, however, there's no luminance, there's no brightness to the scene. With Final Gather, which is one of the ways to have indirect lighting, the brightness of that pepper will actually help illuminate the rest of the scene, as you can see here. This is a very nifty feature, which definitely deserves further study. In this video, we took a quick introduction to Mental Ray, a couple of its features, a couple of its tabs, and basically a brief overview of some of the lighting effects available to it.